Mark Cuban, one of the richest men alive. Ranking 177 on the 2020 Forbes 400 list and 144 on the 2020 World's List of Billionaires, the American TV personality and entrepreneur holds a net worth of $4.2 billion as of January 2021. And he has enjoyed his riches for more than 2 decades, splurging it on his $17.6 million Dallas estate, $19 million vacation villa, $40 million business jet, and so much more. With his present wealth, it's difficult to imagine that he was once a teenager selling stamps and conducting disco lessons to pay for his education in Indiana University. He had so much trouble with his finances then that he just chose the least expensive of the top 10 business schools without even seeing the campus himself. Not to mention, he'd take on job opportunities to make a living. After Cuban graduated with a degree in management, he worked at Mellon Bank, where he showed initiative to make more money for the bank. He wasn't content with doing what his job entails. He went beyond that. He sent suggestions to Mellon Bank's CEO, updated current projects, and wrote newsletters to impress his boss. Unfortunately, his extra efforts weren't as well received as he'd hoped, so he decided to get a sales job at Your Business Software, a PC software retailer in Dallas. Working for 9 months as a software salesman, he struck a $15,000 sale with one of the clients for the shop. This deal would give him $1,500 in commission and help him pay the bills. However, instead of receiving praise for the business he made, he was fired for not cleaning up the store. Once again, Cuban's good intentions seemed like a threat for his boss and their fragile ego. This second encounter became Cuban's turning point. He wouldn't progress under bosses like that. Plus, if he could close on a deal like that, then maybe it was time to go off and start his own business. His work ethic and financial knowledge brought him immense fortune since the 1990s, landing him his billionaire status at the age of 41. He certainly stood by his words. Work like there is someone working 24 hours a day to take it all away from you. From his door-to-door stamp selling days to an estimated 100 business deals, Cuban made a huge turn in life. Here are a few of the ventures he had when he set foot on the business world. In 1982, the same year Cuban was fired from the software shop, he launched his own company, Micro Solutions. With his prior knowledge of the PC industry, he sold software, configured computers, and hooked PCs for businesses. Cuban managed the computer consulting service for 8 years with the customer base he established from Your Business Software. On one of his errands, he met a younger kid who ran a place for PC parts. As they talked for hours, Cuban knew they'd become big shots in the future. "Dude, I think we're both going places," were Cuban's words. And that's exactly what happened for him and the kid named Michael Dell. Micro Solutions grew over the years, generating $30 million in revenue. In 1990, Cuban decided it was time to sell the company to CompuServe for $6 million, from which he made $2 million after tax. Cuban and Todd Wagner, longtime friend and fellow Indiana University alumnus, shared an interest in sports. So when they found it difficult to get live updates of the Hoosiers basketball games in Texas, they needed to find a solution. They founded the online video portal Broadcast.com, originally called AudioNet, in 1995. The channel allowed users to stream sports games, political conventions, and other events through the internet, one of which is the first ever live stream of Victoria's Secret fashion show. The company's growth in just 4 years generated more than $13.5 million in revenue in the second quarter of 1999. During the same year, Yahoo took interest and purchased Broadcast.com for $5.7 billion in stock, leaving Cuban with $1 billion for selling his shares. This marked the year of Cuban progressing from a millionaire to a billionaire. At the age of 41, his lavish spending showed with a Gulfstream V business jet he bought online. The $40 million purchase made its way to the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest single e-commerce transaction. Obviously, it's his money, so he has the freedom to choose where to spend it, the next of which being in the sports business. Cuban has been a fan of basketball and the Dallas Mavericks for a long time, so when he finally got the money to own the team, he jumped on it right away. In January 2000, Cuban purchased a majority stake of Mavericks for $285 million. Although his intentions were solely for the love of the sport, owning the team evolved to be a good investment. When he acquired the Mavericks, the team was barely hitting it off with the big leagues, so Cuban provided them with better facilities, DVD players and TVs per stall in the locker room, an upgraded Jumbotron, or the large display screen in the stadium, and a brand new $36 million team plane. That's quite a lot of spending for a newly recognized billionaire, but it's still money well spent. By 2006, the Mavericks made it to the NBA Finals, but was met with defeat against Miami Heat. But by 2011, the underdog Mavericks won the NBA championship for the first time, valuing them at $2.3 billion. That's $2 billion more than what he used to purchase the team. Finally, getting the NBA title and a huge return on his investment, Cuban treated the team with a bar tab amounting to more than $100,000. His expenses didn't end there. Cuban's outbursts and criticisms of the referees cost him quite a fortune through the years. By February 2018, the NBA had fined the billionaire an estimated $2.6 million. Although this sum didn't seem to leave a dent in his fortune, an average person would probably think twice before making further comments like Cuban had. Aside from the on-court expenses, Cuban donated $10 million for organizations with women's causes like domestic violence awareness. This was after the NBA's investigation of the Mavericks for sexual harassment and toxic workplace environment for women. While the franchise initially contradicted the allegations, the investigation concluded the validity of these claims, leading Cuban to remove involved employees and donating the $10 million. Nevertheless, his acquisition of the Mavericks resulted in one of the most valuable franchises in sports. Cuban credited the success of the franchise due to his thirst in learning and using his knowledge for the future. Over the years, Cuban's wealth grew by investing in small businesses presented in Shark Tank. Premiering in August 2009, the long-running business reality show features budding entrepreneurs who present their idea, product, and business plan to a panel of investors called sharks. These small businesses must convince the sharks to make an offer. But it isn't as simple as it sounds. Sharks will throw questions and criticize not only their product, but also their presentation. It's like being in a Shark Tank with your life's work on the line. Since Cuban joined as one of the sharks of the show in 2011, he has been very vocal of what he thinks about the pitches. They are either doomed to fail or steps away in becoming the next big thing. If someone's idea is the latter, then he's probably part of almost 100 business deals Cuban made on the show. The shark has invested millions into startup businesses, some of them landing him huge profits. In 2012, Cuban funded $150,000 for a 30% stake of Stephen R. Stoll's Tower Paddle Boards. He believed in the company so much that he even gave a loan worth $300,000 to R. Stoll in 2013, and it eventually worked in his favor. While products usually receive a great sales boost after appearing on Shark Tank, Cuban's growth strategy and suggestions helped revenues to reach an estimated $5 million by 2014. These numbers continued to grow in 2018, with $30 million in sales. Another one of Cuban's investments is Peter Ferreira's Nuts & More, a company offering peanut butter and other products. His $250,000 with shark Robert Herjavec for 35% of the company grew immensely. By 2018, Nuts & More sold in more than 2,000 stores, recording an estimated $30 million in sales that year. The healthy, delicious food company became one of Cuban's favorite investments, not only because of its success, but also for its health-conscious products for those with a sweet tooth. Cuban also invested in another company associated with his interest in sports, Game Day Couture. He funded $100,000 for 30% of the apparel line because he wanted female sports fans to have options for stylish garments to support their favorite teams. Not only was the company providing garments for Cuban's NBA team, the Dallas Mavericks, it also brought in huge sales. That's $12 million for 2018 alone. These are but a few of the millions of dollars Cuban placed into the show's pitches. Whether it's the Shark Tank effect or Cuban's involvement, these startup companies turned out to be a good investment. Cuban also invested in large, well-known companies like Amazon and Netflix, which were obviously among his most successful holdings. These two resulted in great returns, with him buying Netflix stocks of $50 a share and Amazon around $500 to $700. His buy and hold strategy resulted with 500 to 1,000% returns, given that in 2020, a share of Netflix cost around $550, while that of Amazon around $3,500. That's a huge return of investment, especially for a man with almost $1 billion in Amazon stocks, and it only seems to be growing. The streaming and e-commerce industries are among those that benefited from the stay-at-home setup. By 2020, shares of Amazon and Netflix rallied around 30%. This just goes to show that Cuban's buy and hold strategy is a good move to grow money. Cuban went from selling stamps door-to-door to cleaning up PC stores to starting his own company and then investing in several others. His rise to becoming a billionaire depicts that of a rags-to-riches story, and a truly deserved one. His smart financial management, unwavering determination, and ability to stick with what he believes in made him one of the richest people in the world. Although his lavish spending cost him quite a lot, his strategic financial investments gave him the freedom to enjoy such a luxurious lifestyle. What's your favorite business Mark Cuban is involved in? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.